SoFloRadio.com presents Ceomanship, becoming a leader in today's business world with your host, Steve Gordon, CEO of Gordon Partnership Group, an international business consulting firm specializing in CEO bootcamp, sales team training, as well as client growth and retention. Visit us at GordonPartnership.com. At Gordon Partnership Group, your success is our business. And now, here's your host, Steve Gordon.
Wow, here we are. Another Monday. George Rodriguez.
Steve. Mark.
Mondays, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Beautiful
Mark.
Monday, by the way.
It is.
Yes.
You know what?
Enviable.
Before let me introduce everybody. I've got, for those of you watching the video stream, my name is Steve Gordon. I am the host of the Ceomanship Show here on SoFloRadio.com. And hopefully you're either watching or listening or both, and that's great. And so Ceomanship is the radio show for business owners and CEOs. And, if you're a business owner or you're a CEO and you'd like to be featured on Ceomanship, you can certainly contact me right here. Well, not right here, because right now I'm doing
Right
the show.
there. There you are.
Actually,
They can contact you.
Well, they
right
could
here.
because I could get that email right in front of me. But if you email me at steve@Gordon Partnership, Gordon Partnership.com, that would be great. Don't forget to visit Ceomanship.com. After the show, you can download a copy of today's episode, or you can actually listen to past episodes or watch them on Ceomanship.com. That's C-E-O-M-A-N, ship, S-H-I-P.com, in our archive section. And, one of the great things about this show is after we finish producing the live show, we go right onto iTunes, and you can download our podcast from the podcast section. Just search for Ceomanship and subscribe. And this way, each week, the audio version of Ceomanship is going to be automatically delivered into your iPhone. You notice this week I did not say your electronic device because I got a lot of comments about that from people.
Why is that?
Because they came up with very unique electronic devices that would bring my voice, into the electronic device.
Yeah, I like that word, electronic devices, as opposed to what, iPhone?
Well, let's just say that you can subscribe to our podcast, and that's, again, on the iTunes podcast library, and just search for Ceomanship. It gets delivered right to your iPhone, your iPad, your desktop, or your
Electronic
phone,
device.
Or your electronic device.
Well, other people some people don't have iPhones. I do, but some people don't. And what do they call them?
Well,
your phone, your smartphone. How's that? We can
there
call it a
you go.
smartphone.
That's what I'm
the
talking
smartphone
about.
of your choice.
Yes. I love podcasts because the great thing is that you can subscribe to shows and things that you are interested in learning about and listening to. And then when you wake up in the morning, for example, I like to ride my bicycle every morning, and I have my podcast from my favorite podcasters and broadcasters, and they are right there, and I just pick and choose what I want while I'm riding my bike.
Subscribe, never miss an episode.
I love it. That's right. And so, the other thing is, every week we get more and more email from folks who are interested in learning how they can either be guests on this show, or they're interested in learning a little bit about how they can have somebody from the Gordon Partnership Group work with them, or have us as a speaker at a corporate event. And so, again, if you just send an email to steve@GordonPartnership.com, we've spoken to groups. I've spoken to groups as large as 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 and more. So, again, visit us at GordonPartnership.com. Complete that contact us form. We'll get back to you within 24 hours. Just a little self-promotion. On Facebook, it's Gordon Partnership. On Twitter, it's follow Steve Gord. No O-N, just follow Steve Gord. Not enough characters.
I see.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Well, there are enough characters, but there aren't enough characters allowed for your name. Instagram, Gordon Partnership. LinkedIn, just search for Steve Gordon, Gordon, and Gordon Partnership. And again, on iTunes, Ceomanship, and our website, GordonPartnership.com. So today we have a couple of sponsors on our show. I want to talk about them very, very quickly. Grapeswine.com, great company. I know that last week you were telling me about the fact that you are still searching for a wine advisor. Let me tell you about this company, Mark. So,
Tell me, please.
Tell you, please. So here's how it works. Grapeswine.com sources unbelievably beautiful wines from all over the world, from vineyards where you probably can't find wine in your local liquor store, your wine store, etc. And you are assigned a wine advisor. Think about how cool this is. You're on the golf course, right? And, the guy next to you goes, "Oh, excuse me, I can't tee off right now. It's my financial advisor." And everyone goes, "Boring. Everybody has a financial advisor." And then your phone rings. and you go, excuse me, it's my wine advisor.
Is that your wife?
No, it is my wine advisor from
Really?
grapeswine.com. And they're calling me to tell me about great wines that they've taken time to diligently research from all around the world that meet my palate and my price point. And they say, Steve, we'd love to send a case out to you. And you know what? Because we cut out the middleman, we can get that to your front door for probably what you'd pay for a bottle of swill at your local liquor store, wine store, etc. So you can reach them at 1-800-434-WINE, W-I-N-E, or grapeswine.com. And I will tell you, this weekend, my wife, Lori, who is known because she's the founder of the Simply Lori Gordon brand, and that's simplylorigordon.com. And we had some guests over, and she made a beautiful meal, a turkey. And I had several unbelievable wines in the house from Grapes Wine. And I actually contacted my advisor. Don't tell our guests, George.
Okay.
All right, unless they're
So that
listening.
you would-
Actually, you know what?
so that you would look
He
smart,
is
yeah.
listening, right? So
You're just
anyway,
giving up the secret over there.
So anyway, at the end of the day, I took a photograph of 3 different wines. I had an unbelievable Chardonnay, and then I had a Pinot Noir, and I had a beautiful Zinfandel. And I sent the picture of the 3 wines lined up together to my wine advisor, and I said, which would you serve with the following meal? And my advisor said, go with the Chardonnay. So I did, and it was a fantastic choice. So it's great to have a wine advisor who can make you look really smart.
And you know, Steve, since you brought that up, on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, on one of the other shows here on SoFloRadio.com, Siren Says, we were talking about wines with the young ladies that were here, and I told them that they need to go out and talk to your friends at Great Wines.
He did. I was here for that.
Well,
he totally
I
did.
appreciate that. That's great for the. That's great to spread the word. So thank you, Mark.
We
Thank you, George.
were asking if the wine advisor could help us pair wine with Halloween candy that we're going to steal from our children's
You
basket
know what?
later.
You laugh, but the reality is that.
You know, what goes good with Twix? Yeah.
There you go. I love that. All right. And besides Grapes Wine, let me just tell you also that today's show is also sponsored by the Homeowners Network. George, now just play along with me and say
I'll
yes.
play along. I used to be a homeowner.
Just say yes to everything to pretend you are now.
Sure, that's what got me in trouble in the first place.
Oh gosh, here we go. Now you need just like you needed a wine advisor. Now you need the Homeowners Network. George, just say yes, play along.
All right,
okay?
I'll play along.
George, I want to
used to
imagine
be a homeowner.
Imagine getting paid for something you're already going to do anyway. So let me explain how this works. Would you agree that someday you or your estate, you're going to sell the home that you live in right now?
Sure,
right?
yeah.
And so what county?
Absolutely.
What county do you live in?
I live in Broward County.
Broward County. So would it make more sense to you that you would choose a real estate professional, a broker, from your local area in Broward, or do you think you'd go like to Tampa?
That would, I would go to Okahumpka Turnpike Plaza. No, of course, local would make a lot more
Right,
sense.
of course you use a local
Sure.
broker, and that's because they have the local market knowledge and the potential buyer. So here's the deal. What if I told you that based upon the current value of your home, you'd be guaranteed to get paid anywhere from $300 to up to $10,000 now over the next couple of years? Now you're thinking, come on, Steve, what's the catch, right?
What's the catch?
There is no catch, George. Thank
Okay.
you. You played that beautifully. Mark, you digging? All right.
I do.
So here's the deal. Here's how the program works. And by the way, you as the homeowner, you're never going to pay these guys anything, not a penny, not a zilch, nothing, okay? In real estate, the broker, the person who owns the real estate firm, they're allowed to refer a client to another broker. And this can happen, for example, when you're moving away from your local area, say to out of state or somewhere else, or for any other reason. And when the referred client buys or sells a home, and all the commissions are paid, the referred broker is going to send a share of their commission to the referring broker. Right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Because it's a thank you for sending them a client they never would have had. And this happens all the time.
Why didn't you tell me this a month ago?
Well,
I'm selling a house.
There you go. So so you're going to go to homeownersnetwork.us, okay? Homeownersnetwork.us,
I'm writing this
not
down.
.com. And so here, the amazingly smart folks at the Homeowners Network decided to put together one of, if not the largest, broker-to-broker referral networks in the United States of America. And they say this, George, if and when, you're not required to, but if and when you're ready to sell your home and you're under no obligation, you use a broker from their network, which is just about every broker in Broward County anyway, and 19 other states. So when you're listening from anywhere in the United States, take a look at homeownersnetwork.us. They're going to pay you now over the next couple of years up to $10,000 based on the value of your home.
Wow.
So since you're going to sell your home anyway, and you said you're going to use a local broker, why not join for free homeownersnetwork.us and take the money?
You really should have told me this a month ago.
Well, the good folks at Homeowners Network are
Don't
telling
make
you
my
now.
mistake Do this now.
Do it now. It costs you nothing, and you get the money today. So anyway, homeownersnetwork.us. George, Mark, I am really pleased to have a really amazing guest. We always have amazing guests on our show. And this gentleman, Rod Smith, is the founder and the president of a company called the Green Polka Dot Box. Now, it's a publicly traded company, and what Green Polka Dot Box does is they give access to people throughout the entire country, give them access to clean, organic, natural, non-GMO foods, and they deliver it right to their doorstep at prices far less than you would pay at that store that sometimes people say takes their entire paycheck. I'm going to push off a little bit of what I wanted to read in the intro because a lot of that I'm going to ask you in questions. But Rod Smith, you are currently out in the beautiful state of Utah.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate being on your show today.
Well, we appreciate having you. You're an innovator, and being that I am married to a holistic health coach, and she's constantly telling people how important it is to eat healthy and to take advantage of organic whenever possible. We also know that not everybody lives in a part of the country that has that kind of store, that has an abundance of these kinds of non-GMO and healthy products. And not everybody can afford it. Not everybody has a farmer's market in their area. But before I go down that road, with your permission, I want to ask a couple questions, if I may. Just a little bit about you, and so that our listeners have the opportunity to know who you are and how we got from day one to where you are today. Is that all right?
Absolutely. Fire away.
I guess it has to be. I got the microphone.
Yeah.
So anyway, so
your wife is very sharp, by the way.
she is very, very sharp, and our listeners get to hear her often. I don't know if she'll call in today. But if she does, be prepared, because I'm sure she's going to throw you a curveball.
Okay.
All right. Just giving you fair warning. No, I'm just kidding. I know that you and Lori have spoken many a time. So did you grow up in Utah?
You know, I haven't grown up here, but I've lived here enough to almost claim it as my heritage. I actually grew up in California.
So Northern California, Southern California?
An area called Hacienda Heights, California.
All right. So for those of us from Southern Florida, where exactly is Hacienda Heights?
It's about an hour's drive south on the 5 from Los Angeles.
So between LA and San Diego.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. And then from there, you at some point you moved to right to Utah?
From there, we did move to Utah. I spent a few years here in my youth, my teenage years, then moved to Arizona for a couple of years, then back to Utah, then back to California, then back to Arizona, Utah. I mean, I'm a tri-state born and raised.
So what you're saying is your family had an interest in the U-Haul company.
Exactly, yeah.
Interesting. I was going to ask you a couple of questions. I have a couple of callers loaded up. I want to go to our first caller. This is Steve Gordon and Ceomanship on SoFlo Radio. Caller, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Great. So I have Rod Smith on with us, and who am I speaking to?
This is Ralph in Alaska.
Ralph in Alaska. So Ralph, how are you today?
Well, I'm good. I have a little bit of familiarity with this green polka dot, but I'm interested in learning more. I'm getting into the organic side of things, so my question would be to Rod, but I can listen in and ask a question later. I don't want to interrupt your goings on there.
You popped right in, and we'd love to hear your question.
Hi, Ralph.
Well, Mr. Smith. It's nice to hear you. My question is in transportation of organic produce towards Alaska from your supply sources, do they lose their potency?
No, that's not an issue at all. Currently though, the transportation cost to ship to Alaska is prohibitive.
So I know it can be expensive, but is it completely impossible?
No, not at all. We have quite a number of Alaskan members up there, and our plans in the future, we plan to spend more time there and actually set up a distribution center and a living produce growing center in Alaska.
Well, that's great. One other thing, they have some kind of a service up here that I haven't availed myself of yet called Circle something. Is that part of your organization of Green Polka Dot, or is that something different out of the Northwest?
I'm not familiar with that organization, Ralph.
I think it's a co-op of some kind, I think, that brings fresh vegetables in from the Northwest twice a week or once a week or something like that. And I just wondered if that was part of your organization.
No, it isn't, but it's something I'd like to learn more about.
Okay. Well, it's nice to meet you, and good luck to you in your venture. Everybody ought to everybody ought to go organic. If we can get some standardization of the word organic, it would be great.
Ralph?
Well, yeah, that's a good point you raised there, Steve. Don't mean to cut you off, but let me just mention one thing. We have our own in-house nutritionist that carefully vets all the products that we carry to make sure we don't carry anything with harmful ingredients or GMO, or that is not truly organic if it's represented to be so.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Well, thank you very much for answering the questions.
Ralph, before you hang up,
nice to talk to you.
Before you hang up, caller, I just want to ask you one last quick question. Have you been someone who was really interested in the organic, non-GMO market for a long time, or is this something new? Was there something that might have caused that change in your life, or and if it's a personal question you choose not to answer, that's fine. I'm just curious, maybe how old you are and what made you decide to go organic, and when you did.
Well, those are good questions. I'm 71 years old. I always thought organic was maybe it carried with it some fluff and flair that might not be accurate, and that it was more expensive. But having been diagnosed with prostate cancer back in December the 1st of last year, and my nutritionists and doctors and surgeons and everybody else with the integrated medicine side of my treatment said, this is not a joke. You need no hormones in your food. Period. So my lifestyle has changed dramatic, and I'm always looking for sources and correct scientific information about organic foods.
Well, Ralph, we obviously wish you continued success in your journey towards health and good health and prosperity, and I hope that you'll be calling in on this show when you're 101, 111, and telling us how great you're doing. I am very, very familiar with Green Polka Dot Box and their product line, and I can assure you that you are going to get great products from Green Polka Dot Box. Ralph, thank you for calling in. We truly appreciate you taking the time to call in from Alaska today.
No problem. You guys have a good day.
You too.
Thanks, Ralph.
So, Rod, I was going to kind of move from your earlier years through where we are today at Green Polka Dot Box, but since the caller jumped in and asked some questions, let's kind of work backwards then. So Green Polka Dot Box is your corporation, and would you like to describe to our audience, since I already know, kind of what Green Polka Dot Box does, how it works, and I'll kind of bump in some questions in the middle.
Well, we started out with the intention, and we still have this intention, to become a national buying collective. What I mean by that is a collection of consumers who combine together their purchasing power to negotiate deep discount prices directly from manufacturers and food vendors. Now, I'll emphasize again, we only carry what I describe as clean foods. Clean foods are those that don't contain any herbicides or pesticides, synthetics, toxic chemicals, genetically modified organisms. We are very, very careful about what we carry, and our members and those who shop at our site can trust that we've thoroughly vetted these products. So anyway, that was our objective. That is our main objective. Now, a secondary and equally important goal is to educate consumers about the links between diet and disease. I was very pleased to hear from Ralph and understand that he's fighting cancer right now. And I think if everybody really understood how the diseases that we get in the later years of life are linked directly to the foods we eat, then everybody would start eating smarter and eating clean food. So that's a really a twofold mission to help consumers improve their health throughout their life. Number one, number two, to provide clean foods at the lowest possible prices with delivery to every zip code in America.
You know, Rod, it's interesting because you heard Ralph say at the very beginning of his call something about, I thought, organic meant very expensive and it was a little bit of fluff. But I've heard my wife Lori, who I know that you have spoken with on several occasions regarding some business ventures, regarding to Green Polka Dot Box, and another project that I want to ask you about toward the end of the show. But one of the things that Lori tells people all the time is, what's more expensive, to spend a couple of extra dollars on vegetables that you can juice every day, or to get sick, spend a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, the rest of what are supposed to be your golden years, sick or in a hospital or to have a heart attack, miss work. I mean, there's so many things that play into this. So it's sort of pay now or pay later, but I think that the pay later has far worse ramifications. So certainly, we are a family that is very big on non-GMO and clean products. So we truly appreciate what you've done. So here's the thing. When I look at the market, right, and I look at the numbers, if we were trying to build a bell curve, since we're a business show here for a second, I look at the outliers, and so you've got this big, the hump of the bell is the typical American family that is on what Lori calls the SAD diet, the standard American diet, which is Big Macs and cheeseburgers and French fries and fast food and things in a box that you throw in the microwave real quickly, and that's where the world goes to shop, and you've got this very, very small percentage of people that are going to stores such as Whole Foods or competitors maybe out west, or they're going to places like the farmers market every Sunday, which for us is not even an outing anymore. It's just we get up on Sundays and we go to the farmers market. We know which vendors we like. They know us, and it's a great experience. There's a great farmers market. There's a couple of them here in South Florida that we love. So you chose to go into the smallest arena of the bell curve. What was it that drove you to try to grab market share in a tight environment, and what was your thought process going forward, and in terms of okay, it would be so much easier to do what you do and service the 95 or whatever, I'm picking that number randomly, percent of the world or the country that shops at the Stop and Shops and the Publix and the Wegmans and all these different stores across the country, and they're buying all the chemical laden products. So why go into such a small market with such a great idea?
It's a great question. Well, many years ago, Steve, I made a decision that I was going to do something that had value in the lives of human beings. There's a lot of ways to make money, and I made a lot of money in the earlier years of my life, but I found that there weren't any emotional rewards attached to that. I didn't feel like I was really benefiting society, and I reached a point where I committed that I wasn't going to do anything with my life that didn't have some positive benefit on society. So I was a pure capitalist and still am. In founding Green Polka Dot Box, there are actually about 15 million consumers who eat organic foods, not frequently. Many of them do not eat frequently, but there is a population that pays very high prices for organic foods. You mentioned one of our competitors earlier in the broadcast. So I felt that, number one, we could provide a great service for people that are truly health minded. Now, what's little known is that there's about 15 million what we call frequent or heavy consumers of organic foods, and what's not well known is that 70% of them have to buy those foods because their doctors are telling them that if they don't, they're going to die, and they're going to die faster. They're going to die unpleasant deaths.
You know,
Uh,
not,
I
not to,
want to just give you a statistic. Right now in America, if you're going to spend $400,000 on health care in the last 4 years of your life that is not covered by medical insurance.
repeat that number again.
$400,000 in the last 10 years of your life, and that's not covered by your health insurance. That's because of the health maladies or the ravaging diseases that are going to affect your body. So when I understood that statistic, I felt like we were providing a valuable service to people who didn't want to spend their whole paycheck and try to get them organic foods at the lowest possible price. That was the original intention, and with the hope that someday we could potentially convert another 40 million adults who believe that they are health minded, but who don't have a clue about the ravaging effect of disease on their body through their diet.
You know, Rod, I know you can't see us here in the studio, but I want you to know that when you said what you said about $400,000 of uncovered health care expense over the last 10 years of our lives, and of course that doesn't mean like you're just spending $40,000 a year because you're healthy. So the ripple effect, the trickle down effect of that is that you're not only spending the money, but you're not out working the way you did. You're not feeling good, and so your quality of life drops. And I want you to know, I look to my left, my producer, George Rodriguez, to my left, and to my right, for those of you watching the video stream, it would be the opposite, Mark Anoff. The two of them kind of looked up with like oh my goodness, and a deep sigh went across the studio.
Right,
here.
because like Mark's like 2 years away from that.
I'm already into that, so, help me out, please. What do I do?
Well, here's
Maybe
what
I need to start with Lori first to find out how I should be eating.
Well, here's what I'd like to do, Rod. We're gonna go to commercial break in just a split second, and so when we come back, we want to continue, and I want to start by making sure I explain up front a little bit about how your service works. In fact, I want to do that before we go to commercial. So what people need to understand is that they can become a member of the Green Polka Dot Box community, and there's was a $50 fee as a basic member.
Yeah, it's a $50 annual fee, just like Costco.
And then as a member, I can shop and I get really substantially discounted prices on the exact same products that you would find in those stores I mentioned earlier that you referred to as a competitor. So it's not like you're making your own brand. You're delivering the exact same quality, same product, same box, same manufacturer, same brand, but you are delivering it to their front door in that box. And I believe it's even possible for your members to get free shipping to their front door. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
And so they do that with a small purchase. I think it's $75. You know why I don't know? Because we never order so little. Because it's so easy to spend $75 several times a month on things that we're buying anyway. It just makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you're going to save anywhere from 30 to 60% on comparative retail pricing on the same products.
That's unbelievable. So let's do this. Rod, please stay with us. You're a great guest, and we have a lot to cover, including some really interesting things on the future of Green Polka Dot Box and a new project that you're launching real soon. I know our guests are going to want to hear about that. So this is Steve Gordon. You're listening to Ceomanship, and we'll be right back on SoFloRadio.com.
Team of professional consultants behind your home or business computer with Key Information Solutions, providing solutions to your internet and computing needs while keeping you on the cutting edge of technology. Preventative maintenance and networking support, hardware and custom built computers. Let Key Information Solutions be your personal tech staff for your home or office with affordable hourly, monthly, or annual rates to fit anyone's budget. Call Key Information Solutions now. 954-973-3374. That's 954-973-3374. Or visit keyinformation.com.
Strawberry patch and smoothie.
Get your hands off me.
Huh?
I said don't touch me.
I shouldn't have went to that party last night. Now I'm seeing talking fruit.
You're not dreaming, Bubba, and you're not putting me in that blender to do.
But you're just a fruit.
Who you calling a fruit?
You are. You're a delicious passion fruit.
Why, sure, I'm passionate. How would you like to be blended, huh? I got rights, you know.
Customers waiting. You gotta go.
Yeah, but wait, you can...
At Power Smoothie in Aventura, we show fruit no mercy. Always fresh, always delicious. To make the best smoothies and wraps on earth, try our new cilantro lime-alicious wrap or our hot chipotle chicken. Power Smoothie in Aventura, located just north of the Aventura Mall in the Promenade Shops. Or call 305-792-5338. Open 7 days a week.
Broadcast radio production, sound design, audio, talk shows, commercials, trailers, voiceovers, webcasting, engineering, music. Learn how for a lot less than $10,000. Send a text to 954-803-9717. That's 954-803-9717.
Why bother listening to those other douchebags while we've got everything you need right here? SoFloRadio.com. Radio you've missed.
Listens to the radio.
We are back. We're back live. This is Steve Gordon, and I am the host of Ceomanship, and that is coming across the airwaves live right now from beautiful Hollywood, Florida. I'm with my producer, George Rodriguez, and social media expert, Mark Anoff of the Anoff Marketing Group. Hi, Mark. How are you?
I am great. Thank you very much.
My guest today from beautiful Utah, where it is not as warm as it is here in southern Florida, is Rod Smith. Rod is the founder and CEO of Green Polka Dot Box, an unbelievable co-op that delivers to your front door at a savings of about 20, 30, 40, sometimes 60%. Wholesome, clean foods, foods that you would have to go to one of those very expensive stores for, non-GMO foods. And for people who can't get out to those stores, can't get out to a local farmer's market, because this time of year, if you live in Utah or in Minnesota or some other colder places, I'll bet you don't have too many farmers markets. GreenPolkaDotBox.com is a great opportunity. Green Polka Dot Box, a great opportunity for you to get those kinds of products and save money. Rod, before we talk about where we are going, I think it's important for our guests, whenever I have a really great entrepreneur like yourself on the show, people always want to know a little bit about you, and they want to know how you came to the point in your life that you were able to be so successful, to have the courage to do what you did. So you grew up in Southern California, you moved around a lot, and my question is, were your parents, were they entrepreneurial? Did you grow up in that kind of house, or did you, how was your childhood that way?
Yeah, it's a good question. My father was an entrepreneur. He started at 29 years old to develop a community newspaper in Hacienda Heights. After 13 years of development, he eventually sold that publication to Media General, which many of your listeners are familiar with. Media General, for example, publishes the Financial Times. Media General bought his publication for $13.7 million. And I grew up as an 8, 9, 10-year-old. I was selling subscriptions for the newspaper in our community, not going door to door. And I guess over time, by osmosis, I learned that the lifestyle of an entrepreneur is what I wanted. And with the exception of a few jobs working for my dad and some of his other enterprises, I've never worked for anybody else.
So
and really enjoyed the freedom that offered me.
Yeah, I understand that completely, and I was always on my own making money even as a child. I can remember as early as my early teen years back in New York, shoveling snow on people's driveways. I actually had like people had a paper route. I had a snow shoveling route, and do you feel like that helped mold who you are today? That entrepreneurs, and also, do you feel like, do you remember your first job? Actually, that's I'm always curious what people did when they were very, very young. What you first did to make money.
Well, my very first job, as I said, was selling subscriptions. I got a quarter for every subscription I got, and then I went from there to selling first aid kits and flares and light bulbs and painting people's addresses on their sidewalk. I mean, that's I think when I was about 22 years old, before I got married, I worked one summer in Maryland on a construction project on a jackhammer, and I vowed then that I would never ever have a construction job in my life.
I was thinking that would
find
probably
another way
make.
to earn a living.
I was thinking
What?
that would probably make you vow that you'd never work for anybody else at that point, because that does, you know
Yeah.
what? It's an honorable job and a great job, not one that I could personally do. I know my limits, and my wife, who's probably listening right now, is going, "You can't even hammer a nail into a wall, and I'm not giving you anything that moves like the size of a jackhammer." So
You know, it's funny. It's funny, Steve. For me, even at that age, though, I didn't really know what an entrepreneur was. I just knew that people that made sales made more money, and so I was hooked on selling things and making big commissions. I eventually got into commercial real estate, and for the first time in my life, started making a six-figure income at 23 years old, and that was really exciting and impressive to me. But it wasn't until probably in my late 20s I started thinking that all the deals started looking alike, and I wanted to do something creative and new, and I've been that way ever since. I just can't stand working for anybody else, and I love the creative process that goes with entrepreneurialism, and more importantly to me, perhaps, is the freedom that I have to set my own schedule, to take off whenever I want, spend time with my kids, doing things that are important for the family. Those are the things that matter most to me. So having the freedom is afforded by being an entrepreneur, even though being an entrepreneur has a great number of challenges.
I can completely understand that. So I know that at one point in your life, you had built not only a network marketing business, but one of the absolute most successful network marketing businesses with a company out of the Utah area. And you're certainly welcome to mention the name if you want. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But my question to you is, how do you feel that network marketing played into where you are right now? Was it something that you felt was creative, that you were just excited by the big money? And why do you think you, and it's okay to be, a little sort of self-serving on this answer, but what do you think it is about you that made you not only successful in network marketing, but one of the most successful network marketers, maybe in the entire United States, if not the world? Because I know what you did in that company.
Well, my exposure to network marketing came from a mutual acquaintance of ours. You know him, and he was really successful. Boy, he was making gobs and gobs of money, and that attracted me. And he told me how I should go about replicating his efforts to build a similar income. And so, man, I worked my tail off. I did everything he could. $50,000 later, I made no progress, and so I started to break it down. I was either going to quit or I was going to figure it out, and I started to break down the fundamentals of a networking business and how to make it work, how to make it replicatable. And as I started to think through and develop those principles upon which to build a successful networking business, everything started to change. And I really did enjoy a successful but brief career there, because there were other opportunities where I could apply similar principles that paid off even more.
Well, I know that you and I actually had an opportunity to partner up way back when. I can't even remember what year this was, but ironically, you and I and a partner of mine had very, very, very similar business models way back before anybody could get a website, and we created a system that was sort of like almost like a precursor to Facebook. I kind of look at it now and go, wow, timing was off, right? Right jockey, wrong horse, right? But what we did, both of us, without knowing each other at that time, was to create a model where the average person who owned a small business could start and create a website and have that hosting at no real charge to them and generate some income. And I feel very, very fortunate because when the way we really met was that your firm bought our firm, and that was an interesting time in our lives. But do you think that obviously all of that had a very important part into who you are today, and some of the business models that you've created, including Green Polka Dot Box. Did you go to college, Rod? Did you go to university?
Well, yes, and I mean, I honestly, I was a high school dropout. I I got into a night school program at the local university here, and I went to school for a year or so. Uh, I did well in school, but I just thought it was a total waste of time, and I really still believe it is a total waste of time, if not a great deal more so today, unless you have a specific career objective like engineering or medicine or something like that. Boy, had we had access to the internet when we were growing up, we could have become anything we wanted to very, very fast.
I had this conversation with a guest last week, and we talked about, or a couple weeks ago, what we could have done if we had the technology and the tools behind us. But hindsight is 2020. I want to say to our listeners that I think that your story is not very uncommon. I mean, there's some great people that never finished school, very, very successful people, and names that are household names and products that we carry every single day in our pockets or on our desktops. But I was very much like you. I did finish school. I have a degree in engineering, which I never use. The closest I come to engineering these days is loading up an app and on my iPhone. But I agree with you. The reason I didn't love school is I found that I wasn't being challenged and in the way that I wanted to be. And so I wanted to be out there making money, and I wanted to be, moving forward in my life. I agree with you. I don't know necessarily, and I know we're going to get a lot of feedback from our callers, but I believe that we are probably going to get some feedback. But I agree. I don't think college is for everybody. Rod, we have a caller coming in, and caller, are you online with us?
Yes, I am.
And who do we have calling in right now?
My name's Trixie. I'm from Minnesota.
Trixie from Minnesota. Thank you for calling in. Do you have a question for Rod?
I do. He intrigued me when he said that he was with a network marketing company before he had started this business, and he said that it made all the difference in the world for him when he applied certain principles. And I'm wondering if he would share those principles with us today.
That's a great question. Thank you so much. Don't hang up, just in case there's a little bit of questioning back for you. But Rod, did you catch that question?
I did, yeah. Thank you, Trixie. The key to building a successful organization is you have to be able to get replication in what you do. So if I'm successful at doing something, it really doesn't matter if nobody else can do it. And if I'm going to build a great selling organization, I have to be able to teach principles that people can do, that everybody could do. And there were things about network marketing that a lot of people felt very uncomfortable with. For example, a lot of people weren't very upfront about how they would describe the opportunity. They would have to couch it in other terms so that they really wouldn't disclose that they were involved in an MLM opportunity. There have been some companies that are famous for doing this, and I think it rubbed off on a lot of other people that they dare not say what they're doing. And I just felt that wasn't very replicatable. If a person had to lie about what they were doing or deceive someone, then they weren't going to do it for very long, because nobody really likes to lie or tell falsehoods about their business. So I developed a unique approach that enabled people to talk to somebody about network marketing, particularly about their business, and really engage them and remove all of the barriers. Another concept I really believe in is that you have to provide real value. If you can't provide real value, there won't be any repeat consumption of the product or service that you're selling. And so I tried to get people to realize uh, that they would get greater sales by selling wholesale than they would retail, to be able to offer a better opportunity to the people they're talking with, hopefully one that was affordable they could spend money on again and again every month. Now, sometimes the companies we're associated with limit our ability to do that, and it's one of my pet peeves about networking companies that have products priced too high. If you're really trying to replicate an opportunity and get repeat consumption, you have to keep the prices at a true value. And this leads to another point. Most people don't like to sell. They like to buy. Everybody likes to buy, but very few people like to sell, and very few people are good at it. And so I tried to teach principles that help people understand that they weren't selling things, they were sharing information and sharing value, and a proper approach for doing that. Now, the company that I was involved with at the time when Steve and I met, uh, uh, to be honest, there are a lot of things about the company that I don't like, and I learned valuable lessons. And since then, I went on to form other companies that incorporated the principles that I learned, and those companies skyrocketed in growth. And Steve will have a chance to talk about another one here in a second. But I think that to have a true business opportunity where you can really make money, you've got to have a really valuable offering. It has to be something that people will naturally share. And you'd never want anybody to put themselves in the position of being a salesperson or of trying to sell a product or service that people can't afford and have to reevaluate their budget every month or two. So I focused my business career on products and services that are essential to human life and that are affordable. And when you have those things, you've got a real business opportunity.
Trixie?
Wow, that's really powerful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling, and we appreciate that. And you have a great day,
Yeah.
and keep listening.
Thank
Rod,
you.
we've got just about 10, 12 minutes left in the show, and there's two things I wanted to cover. One is your new company, but before I do that, so I just want to give you enough time. You took this company, Green Polka Dot Box, public, and
Right.
and that's not an easy thing to do. I'm curious, because some of our listeners might have a company that they're thinking about maybe taking public. Is there a short answer, so we have enough time to talk about your future project, that you could, or advice you could give somebody who is where you were at the time when you considered it and how you went through the process?
Well, I'll tell you what, there are many, many pitfalls on that journey. You got to be really careful and know what you're doing. I learned my education through the School of Hard Knocks. I took a company public in 1996. It's a $450 million company today on NASDAQ. It's called, the symbol is S as in Sam, AAS. The company's known as In Contact. And through that experience, I made a lot of mistakes, but I learned how to do it. And so this time around with Green Polka Dot Box, going public was an easy process, and I've been able to protect myself and keep control of the company. I would say that it depends on the size of your dream. If you want to build $1 billion company, then you've got to take a public route. If you don't need to do that and you're content making a $500,000 to $1 million a year in profit, whatever you're doing, certainly I would avoid a public strategy. But to get capital in today's world, the rules and regulations that have been imposed by FINRA and SEC make it almost impossible for a small business to make it as a publicly traded company, because the rules are punitive on brokerage firms, private equity that get involved and help small businesses. So it's a really big challenge. Don't do it unless you have big dreams.
Well, you know what? I would love to have you back as a guest on another show, and we could talk more about that process, because I'm sure there are people that would love to hear about that journey. But speaking of journeys, you and I have spoken, and Lori, the three of us have spoken recently about sort of the next project in your arsenal. And I love what you're doing. And so I want to give you the podium to share with our audience as much as you feel that you can at this moment, because I don't know where you are. But wow, Wow, wow. What a great idea. So now that I've gotten everybody sort of salivating and going, okay, tell us, what is it? The floor is yours.
Well, thank you. I'll try to be brief and very simple. Uh, a lot of Americans today who still believe in the American dream would like to own a business and generate profit. That as we've talked about, provides the freedom that comes with being your own boss. And ideally, you'd like to have a business that would allow you to use your time and your talents to benefit other people so that you can provide yourself with emotional rewards as well as financial rewards.
Well, this is sounding familiar, isn't it?
Yeah. But until now, I really think that finding that kind of business has been very hard to find. The risks and liabilities that are associated with building a business are very high. The startup capital requirements are beyond the reach of most people. And these days, it's really hard to know for sure what the public is going to demand because of constantly changing technologies or new products and an economic environment that's never certain. So what I decided to do was create an opportunity for individuals that would enable them to take advantage of the growing popularity of the internet and shopping on the internet, to own an online business that sells something that almost everybody wants, but with minimal risk and something that will potentially pay them for a lifetime. And so I'm talking about an online business that sells healthy food at the lowest prices with no membership fee. It's taken us years and millions of dollars to build Green Polka Dot Box. We carry hundreds of the nation's top selling food brands that everybody would recognize, thousands of their products, and these brands have proven popularity with millions of health-minded consumers. We carry a large assortment of dry shelf-stable goods for the pantry, as well as foods like that are fresh, like dairy foods and breads and grass-fed beef and fish, frozen vegetables, specialty foods, personal care items, whole food-based vitamins and mineral supplements, herbal remedies. All these types of products we carry, and they're all clean and they're available to people who don't like to pay retail. But I think that by working together with an army of entrepreneurs, we could, in the next 10 years, we could change America and convince 60 million people that they shouldn't be eating contaminated foods or foods that contain GMOs. So we created an opportunity for anyone to become what we call a health merchant. Now, this is
a health merchant.
A health merchant. It's a turnkey business opportunity. It means that they can own an independent, self-branded online health store, just like Green Polka Dot Box, except it would be their own brand, and they could participate in a proven selling system for organic and non-GMO foods to build a profitable business. And the way it works is our company, we take all of the risk, all of the logistics, the product acquisition, the inventory storage, the distribution facilities, the website hosting, the maintenance, liability insurance, online order processing, merchant account services, pick and pack operations, shipping and handling, and what we like to call legendary customer service. So to become a health merchant, all you have to do is be good at marketing and public relations, telling other people about your store and the great products that are offered there at true wholesale pricing. No, wait a second. That's not exactly true, because we also make available to the health merchant proven and compelling advertising and marketing tools that we've used to capture over 25,000 customers in just over 2 years. These are tools that they can use to encourage shoppers to visit their store. So we've created this new idea. It's built on networking principles in a sense, in that we want to encourage people to tell other people, but the entry is so affordable. Anybody can do it. They can be promoting healthy foods, and they can earn 10% profit on everything they sell for the lifetime of their store. So if you imagine that you have a store, you can become a merchant of health and wellness, and you get 50 customers that are spending $200 a month, you're making $1,000 a month. If you get 100 customers, you're making $2,000 a month. You get 500 customers, you're making $10,000 a month.
Rod,
so it's an opportunity for people to build up a business of providing things that people really need at the lowest possible prices.
Rod, we are coming up in a couple of minutes on a hard stop, about 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and I've got a couple of things I need to do on the back end. So I love this idea. So basically, if somebody has a website already, they can just add this to what they're doing. If somebody is in the health industry, a coach, a chiropractor, a doctor, owns another retail establishment and deals with people, anybody who wants to just live a healthier, more vibrant life, you're saying essentially, they could offer, and they would have a self-branded, meaning that if George or Mark had one of these health stores, that the product would look like it's coming from them and not somebody else. Not like you're buying from Amazon.
That's right. It's coming from them. Wow. And in our case, where we charge a membership fee, the health merchants won't have to charge a membership fee. So everybody can get true wholesale pricing, enjoy the convenience of home delivery, and the entrepreneur that has a few hours a week or 5 days a week or whatever, however they want to adjust their schedule, if they're good at getting customers and driving traffic to their store, which we help them become good at, they can really, really do well.
Okay. So let's get to the important question here. Our listeners are probably going, this sounds really great. How do they learn more?
I think what I would suggest is, first of all, if you want to see the quality of the kind of store we're talking about, you can go to Green Polka Dot Box. That's greenpolkadotbox.com. That'll give you an idea of the brands that we carry and the pricing and all these things. But the next thing they could do, though, is write me directly, because we're in the very early stages, Steve. And if they would just shoot me an email, I can provide more information about the health merchant plan. We plan to launch on December 1st, so we're still gathering together all of our marketing collateral. My email address is rsmith@greenpolkadotbox.com.
rsmith@greenpolkadotbox.com.
Yeah, just initial RSMITH at greenpolkadot. Be sure to include the L in polka, not polka dot, but polkadotbox.com.
Rod, you've been a phenomenal guest. We're coming up against a hard stop. I know that folks can find you on Facebook and LinkedIn as well, and I encourage them to do so. And you know what? And I would love, just because it would help us, if you are going to write in after this show, please do so. And mention you heard it on this show, because that would help Rod know and help us know that we're getting the word out to a great audience. Rod, thank you for joining us. My name is Steve Gordon, and again, I am the CEO of Gordon Partnership. It's gordonpartnership.com. It's been another great show, great week. You can find us on Facebook at Gordon Partnership, Twitter. Follow Steve Gord, G-O-R-D. There's no O-N, because Twitter doesn't allow enough characters. Instagram, Gordon Partnership. On LinkedIn, just search for Steve Gordon and Gordon Partnership. Again, this show and all of our past shows are immediately live on iTunes in their podcast library. Just search for Ceomanship. And, of course, our website, gordonpartnership.com. I'm Steve Gordon. I'll be with you next Monday with another great guest, Rod Smith, George Rodriguez, Mark Anoff. Thank you, everybody. You guys rock. I really appreciate you. And we'll be back next week on SoFloRadio.com.
You're listening to SoFloRadio.com.
Wait.